back to Amy Rose Reads Chapter 16 of The Walking Dead Hope. I'm Amy Rose. Now let's continue where we left off, shall we? 2 minutes later, the door clicked open and Clementine stood before them, a big smile on her face. Louis' eyes lit up at the sight, a similar grin taking place on his face. I'm still pregnant, she announced happily, showing Eleanor the test with 2 small parallel lines. That's great, she said, taking a stick and walking inside her office. Now we can check for its vitals. The couple looked at each other with raised eyebrows and followed the doctor inside again. Eleanor walked toward the machine that held a small black screen and bent down, plugging the cord into a nearby socket. The machine buzzed to life, the screen turning a shade of gray. Clementine and Louis looked at it in awe. Having spent over 13 years of their lives without seeing a single screen. Eleanor instructed Clem to lay down on a gurney, her head resting comfortably on a large pillow. She lifted the woman's shirt up to her chest and grabbed a small plastic gadget from somewhere behind the machine, glazing the tip on it with some kind of gel. She looked at Clem with a small smile. These will be cold, she warned, gesturing to the gadget. Clem noticed that it was attached to the machine by the cord. All right, Clem hesitated, taking in a deep breath. The doctor proceeded and pressed the business end of the stick to her stomach, making her flinch. Oh, God, that's cold, she thought, taking Louis's hand. Her attention was taken by the screen, buzzing for a moment as the display of dark spots against the bright background appeared on it. The spots seemed to be moving slowly and bumping into each other, seemingly moving around as Eleanor moved the gel-covered stick through the surface of her stomach. Once she was satisfied, Eleanor nodded and stopped moving it above reaching a place a few inches above Clementine's crotch. She squinted at the screen for a moment before clicking her tongue and pointing at the small clump of the back spots on the bottom right side of the screen. There's your baby, she announced to the couple. They leaned in close to the screen. Eleanor had still held a stick to Clem's stomach, so she had to halt her approach. Beneath the doctor's finger, they spotted a small lump moving slowly. Wow, breathed Louis. It's beautiful, said Clem, tears streaking her eyes. She let them fall freely. She didn't care that they saw her. Oh, almost forgot, Eleanor said, snapping her fingers. She typed something into the keyboard by the screen, and a loud beep was followed by a strong thumping sound. And that's her baby's heartbeat. 165 beats per minute. He or she will be a fighter. She sure will, Louis said proudly, unable to erase the smile on his face. You still think it's a girl? Clem asked, looking up at him. I know it is, he corrected. Little Layla Everett. Everett? Asked Clementine, raising an eyebrow. Well, yeah, Louis said, as if it were the most obvious thing. Last names aren't too important anymore, so ours wouldn't really be needed. But I figured Lee was such an important part of your life. He deserves to be honored, you know. Clementine blinked away unbidden tears, her golden eyes sparkling. How has she ever gotten so lucky? I love it, she whispered, pressing her forehead to his. Thank you. You're more than welcome, my love. Pressing a small button on the keyboard, Eleanor removed the stick from Clementine's abdomen. She used a small cloth to clean out the remaining gel on her skin and helped her lower her shirt. As Clementine stood up, the machine churned and a small paper slid out a slot in its side. Eleanor held the paper for them, revealing the picture of a small lump of black spots she had called their baby. Louis took it gingerly and placed it carefully in his back pocket. She reminded Clem to take it easy and get a lot of rest and let them be on their way. The couple thanked her and walked out of her office, heading for the street. Once outside, Louis took the picture from the back pocket again and examined it. This was his baby, And those wavy black hairs, those wavy black lines, and those black spots were his baby. It felt surreal to be holding this. So he handed it to Clem. Isn't she beautiful? I still think it might be a boy, she said, smiling down at the piece of paper. Keep dreaming, he replied, shaking his head. They walked absently back to the room in a beat-down hotel. As they opened the door, Clem was almost knocked off of her feet when AJ launched himself at her, wrapping his arms around her. She looked down at him, patting his head. What's the matter, goofball? You guys left without me, he said with a small pout. Well, we wanted to let you get some rest, Louis assured the boy, kneeling to his level. But you want to see something cool? AJ's face softened at the prospect, and he nodded slowly. Louis led him to the bed. When he sat down beside Clementine, AJ stood in front of them, watching them expectantly. Clem rummaged inside her pocket and produced a picture of their baby, showing it to AJ. What's that? The boy asked with a raised eyebrow. That's a baby, goofball, she said, pointing at the large clump of spots. Isn't it still in there? He inquired, pointing at her belly. The couple smiled at each other, marveling at the young boy's innocence. Yes, but Eleanor has a special machine that can take photos of it while it's still inside, Clem explained. AJ leaned in with slanted eyes, scanning the photo for any irregularities. His brows were furrowed, concentrating over taking his features. After a minute of intense staring, he let out a frustrating breath, stomping his foot on the hardware floor. I don't see it, he huffed, looking up at Louis. There are just spots. Yeah, but this lump is bigger, see? Louis explained, pointing at it on the paper, directing AJ's gaze to it. AJ hummed, pursing his lips. I still don't see it. Oh, it's all right, goofball, Clem said, smiling down at him. It took some time for me at first, too, she assured him, making him smile. AJ's eyes lit up as an idea popped into his head. He spun on his heels and rushed to his room. Clem and Louis shared a puzzled look and shrugged. They lay back down on the bed, and Clem placed her hat on the bedside table. The sun was shining on the bed through the open window, making Louis squint. He wrapped an arm over Clem's head resting his own on her shoulder. And this is where we'll stop for part 2. Stay tuned for part 3 of Amy Rose Reads Chapter 16 of The Walking Dead Hope.